We interrupt our regular programming to bring you this News Center 3 special report.
Good evening. I'm Air Force Sergeant Ray Clips. News Center 3's Jan Garvin is presently at the Incirlik Command Post, standing by to give us a full report on this mysterious object flying toward us this evening. Jan?
Thank you very much, Ray. Command authorities here have been tracking the craft ever since it was seen leaving the North Pole earlier this evening. They've been marking its locations on a map in the command center. We have a printout of that, and we'd like to put it on a more traditional map for you, if we may. Satellites first picked up the craft in New Zealand, and it made a sweep over Australia. What we've got to point out here, this is the main flight path. It has deviated from it somewhat in a rather erratic fashion, but we just like to give you the primary flight path, if we will. It swung up through the New Guinea and then across into the East Indies, kind of made a kind of a funny loop. We're trying to figure out what that was all about. But we came up, and as it entered Japanese airspace, we scrambled a couple of F-15s and an AWACS aircraft to try and identify this object. That's where the first rendezvous was made. The craft then swung over into South Korea, down through Taiwan, through Borneo, and then off the western portions of Australia. It then covered parts of the Indian Ocean where it was reported to have actually stopped on some ships at sea. Then, of course, over some of the islands out in the Indian Ocean, and then continued a rather northern route over Thailand and Burma, and then over into Mongolia. And as it entered Soviet airspace, officials here are reluctant to give us any indication of the flight path as it entered into the Soviet Union for security reasons or whatever. We can't provide that to you. However, what we have found out is that the craft was picked up somewhere in here in Mongolia again, and it continued over into coming into the European airspace. It then swung across and then down through some areas in Southwest Asia, and the last area that we have it picked up in is in Saudi Arabia. This is where the satellites, weather satellites, intelligence satellites from all countries have been used to track this aircraft. Right now, we are telling you that this is the last reported tracking. What we have for you now is a projected flight path of this aircraft. We're not sure this is exactly where it's going to travel or how it's going to travel, but this is what the computer has fed us right now. If I can get over here, the aircraft again was last seen in Saudi Arabia. It's going to continue south, and we'll do this kind of quickly for you, and then cover parts of Africa, up into Europe, and then back down through the continent of Africa. And then it's going to, since it swung over through the Atlantic here, officials feel it's going to do somewhat of a similar fashion. And then up, and then across into the Atlantic, and then up through the British Isles and Spain, and then make a long dip down through the Atlantic. And of course, it'll hit the eastern parts of South America, okay, and then swing down across the southern tip of South America, cover some of these islands out here, and then back, and then swing up, cover all the rest of South America. So they figure Mexico, all across Central America, across the United States. Historically, for some reason, it has taken a great deal of time throughout the United States, the crazy flight plan. However, the computer tells us that the flight plan will continue over North America, Canada, up through Greenland, and of course down into Iceland, and from there we really don't know. Speaking of don't know, we don't know what the object is, where it's going, and we've just been told, the command post here has just been told that the object has been picked up on radar only 150 miles, is that right? 150 miles south of us. It's over the Mediterranean Sea. Authorities have we've decided to send up a couple of aircraft to find out what that object is, to intercept it once again, to try and identify it. One thing we have to point out is that while the object was spotted over Japan, visual contact was made by the F-15 crews. They said there was a bright red glow at the head of the object. Officials feel it's some kind of very complex, sophisticated navigation device. They're running that through the system to try and find out what that is as well. I'll be back with another report as more information becomes available. But as you can see, the object has traveled quite a bit in a rather rapid fashion, and the object's identity could spell out something very interesting. Reporting from the Incirlik Command Post, I'm Air Force Sergeant Jan Garvin.
Thanks, Jan. So the craft is within 150 miles of us. It was noted earlier this evening the object has a bright red light in front of it, which is assumed to guide it through the night. Officials say there is no reason to be alarmed because it has done no harm to any of the places it has visited so far. As usual, we'll keep you informed as further details become available. I'm Air Force Sergeant Ray Clips.